Okay, IED, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing activity 1.3.5, part 2. This is documenting a design, and we're focusing on after we've already made the detail view of the sketch, we're going to be working on creating annotations. And annotations is pretty much, for lack of a better word, we've been making annotations to our drawings for a really long time already. So the fact that they're wanting to try to add creating annotated drawings is kind of like asking us to do something that we've already done. So I'm going to show you a couple of new things on top of the other things that we've already done. Like when you dimension your drawing, that's annotating your drawing. When you're adding the radius values or the hole callouts or the center lines or the hidden lines, that is annotating. Like anything that gives you extra information that don't also include it from specifically the object itself. Um, Now, usually those are in the lines of like text or numbers or letters. So we're mainly kind of specifically talking about things like hole callouts and counterbores, countersinks, stuff like that. All of these would be examples of annotations. But you may also need to include some other things as well too. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go back into my section. And keep in mind that if you've got your design already put up and you've already made a drawing for it, then the drawing is going to be down here in this tab down at the bottom. You don't have to make a new one. Since mine last time was a little bit cattywampus and to the side, I've decided to go ahead and just make a new one. So I'm going to go to the plus and I'm going to create a drawing, and I'm just going to use the standard. I haven't made the custom template yet, but we'll get to it. And so I'm just going to use the standard ANSI A inch. That'll count as my custom template. It's got enough information on there for us anyway. I think we'll be okay. I'll let the document drawing pop up here. Let the potato computer do its thing. Go, go, potato. Here we go. All right. So I have my trammel beam, and I'm going to click on the trammel beam and go ahead and add some views in. If I remember correctly, this is the front side, and the top's going to be a little bit long. So I'm going to click there, and then I'm going to click up above, and then I'm going to do that one more time to make a side view and then an isometric view. Last time we had a detail view, and that's okay. I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to have an isometric view. All right, so I'm going to show a couple of other things that we can do here. Onshape is not my specific specialty, but I'm going to try my best. If you want to add annotations, you can use the text button here where it says Note, and you can click on that and click once, and then you can type in the information. This could be any extra information that you need to say. So like for example, if all of the holes are identical to each other, up in the top you could say something like all holes typical. And if you see typical or TYP, that's going to be meaning that they're all exactly the same. And you notice that whenever I do it, that the text is like dragging itself down here. You can click on the arrow that points to the right, and you can drag it, and it will lengthen out your amount of space for you to be able to type in this stuff. Whenever you got it exactly where you want it to, you can finish it out by clicking on the green check mark. Let me go ahead and show you a couple of other things as well too. If you can change the text size, so like this is at font of point 0 or 0.12. So let's say I want to make that 0.18. You can then type, and your text will be a bigger value. So you can see how there's a much larger difference. Now, keep in mind though, and notice with this, you have to change the text size first and then you can type, or you have to go back into what you had before by pressing the left arrow key and not wanting to, yeah, there it is. It's really hard to see where everything is whenever you've got that little text box. I'm going to keep going. All right, and I'm going to hold down shift and press the left arrow key to kind of highlight everything and see how it all highlights. You can then go back down here and you can change that text size to whatever you want it to be, and then it will change. Okay, a lot of times people get confused with this because they'll type everything out and then they'll change the text size and nothing happens, and they're going to be like, what the crap's going on? Nothing's happening here. You have to either have your text highlighted and then change the text size, or you have to change the text size first and then start typing. And these numbers are usually given in, I believe, inches. So 0.18 is actually a pretty large value for your text. You wouldn't think of it to be that large, but it really is. Okay, and you can do a couple of other things in here too, like there's a symbol insert. So they've got your common symbols here. Most specifically, the ones that we've learned so far is the countersink, the diameter, the drill depth, and the counter bore. There's a couple of other ones that are going to show up later. Degrees shouldn't be like completely new to you. You're going to be like, oh, what degrees? Usually that's not going to end up happening. But there's a couple of other symbols down here that we'll just get to later, and I'm okay with that. You can also add variables, so like things like drawing properties. Uh, you can just click on one of these things and it will automatically insert the pieces of information, like the drawing last changed by, the drawing drawn by, or you can insert object properties too, like their titles, the product line. Normally these are reserved for the title block down below, but you never know. You might want to actually put in a variable for something. It's there. It's available to you if you want to use it. I'm going to click the green check mark to make sure that everything is done from that point. There's also a couple of other things that we can use for annotations up here as well. Let's see here. We don't want to weld or anything like that, but there's normally a um, leader line that we could use, and I know where it is in Inventor, but I'm not entirely sure where it is in Onshape. So I'm going to, a leader line is going to look a lot like where it says this chamfer dimension, although they're not the same thing because the chamfer dimension is just going to be leading it out. I bet what we could do though is we could just use this line tool and we could create a line going from an object out to kind of give you an idea of where things are. And you can make a leader line that way. This is kind of what a leader line would look like. The only difference would be there's usually an arrow at the end, but if I can't find the leader line, then I'm not going to hold it against you guys. If I find it out, I'll tell you in class. If not, if you have an engineering teacher that's smarter than me, ask your engineering teacher on Onshape where the leader line is, and it will be good to go. But you can actually you can link your text and leader lines to kind of show you information. So if you wanted to talk about like if this thing is made of plastic or any other like the density or things like that, you can include these as well. But leader lines aren't usually um, dimension lines because they don't give you a start and an end point, but they do normally try to tell you some piece of information about the object. Okay, so like if you wanted to mention how this thing on the bottom kind of looks like a TIE fighter wing, you can just be like, hey, TIE fighter wing design or something like that. Okay, although in engineering you probably want to be a little bit more specific than that, but you get the idea of how it goes. That's pretty much about all I can say about annotations. They're pretty straightforward and pretty simple. So good luck with it. Annotate your drawings and have a good day. I'll talk with you guys later.